we are going to do the super belated, my favorite things of the 80s, the I love the 80s video. We did the 90s one, I think it was 2 months ago. It was supposed to be, this one was supposed to be out at the end of last month. But I'm doing this as a collab with Jamie over at Peace, Love, and Jamie. I will link her right up here right now, hopefully. And you should go check her video out as well. And we have been struggling. We have been on the struggle bus for a while when it comes to getting this dang video recorded and up. Her kids were sick. My kids were sick. It was Easter. It wasn't a good time. So anyways, sorry for saying that this was going to be done at the end of last month when that was a lie. I lied to you. But it's up now, almost the end of this month. So let's jump right into it. These are all the same questions that I answered in my I Love the 90s video, but it's for the 80s. We're going to be doing this, in theory, at the end of every month, all the way down to the 60s. We did the 90s last time, and here we are at the 80s, 70s, 60s. So keep an eye out for those. And here are the questions. I have to pull them up on my phone. All right. Are you ready? I love the 80s. Let me just say that now. I love the 80s. I actually love all of these that we're doing except the 60s. The 60s is going to be rough for me. I can't think of anything I like about the 60s. So we'll see what I can dig up for that. But as far as this one goes, it's going to be rambly because I can't pick favorites like last time. I love things too much. I either hate things or love things. I'm not a gray area person, so sorry. Anyways, so question number 1 is favorite song of the decade. And I'm going to do what I did last time. It's not possible to pick a song. That makes it even harder. I can't pick a band as it is, let alone pick a song. So I'm going to pick some bands, more than one. So my favorite bands, to kind of just do like an array of genres, I'll say. My favorite, like, hair band. I don't know if it would be considered glam rock. I don't know if it's quite there, but like hair band from the 80s. I just love Bon Jovi. I guess it's not a band. I guess that's just Bon Jovi and his people who don't get mentioned. But I really love Bon Jovi. He is my favorite. I was brainwashed by my uncle as a small child to like Bon Jovi. So Bon Jovi is the best. He makes me happy. Still, I mean, he doesn't do much, but he has a good voice. I'm into it. And then as far as like, see, there is a name for this, and I don't know it. My parents have mentioned it a couple times. I don't know. I just say like pop. As far as like pop music goes, I love Duran Duran. I love me a British band. Let me tell you, there's not a British band on this earth besides the Rolling Stones, who I don't like. I don't like the Rolling Stones. I know. What's wrong with me, right? But Duran Duran is amazing. They have like that perfect, like incessant, like almost annoying, like poppy sound to them that like, you know, if you hear a Duran Duran song on the radio, in the grocery store, I don't know, in McDonald's, that's where they play stuff like this now. If you hear that song, it's going to be in your head for like the next 500 years. It's just one of those songs. I cannot listen to that dang Rio song without it playing in my head for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. I just listened to it actually a few minutes ago. So shot myself in the foot with that one. But I love Duran Duran. They make me happy. I love that they wear makeup. That also makes me happy. And then as far as, I don't know, alt rock. I don't know terms from the 80s. I would consider it like alt rock. But anyways, I like U2. I love U2. Like I said, some British. I guess they're not British. They're Irish. I think one of them is British. I don't know. Anyways, Irish people, my favorite. I like to look at them. I like to listen to them talk. I like to listen to them sing. I like the fact that they exist on this earth. I like it. It makes me happy. So they make me happy. I love U2. I've seen them in concert. They make me feel beautiful feelings inside. Which is funny because I seem to be in the minority, at least where we live. Every time I bring up how much I like U2, people always say that they're too hippie-ish for them. Which is weird because I feel like they're mistaken. But whatever. I like them, and that's all that matters. They make me happy. Their drummer's really nice to look at. I don't know if he is now. I actually don't know what he looks like now. But back in the day, I liked to look at their drummer. So that's about it for music. I mean, I guess I should say that I don't typically like girl singing music in general, and I do like some people from the 80s who are girls. I've seen Cyndi Lauper in concert as well, and it was great. It was a good time, but it's just, I don't know. I don't really have anyone that's like stand out that I just love. Anyway, so the next question is, and this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part because this is my favorite thing about the whole decade is what is your favorite movie of the decade? Which I'm not going to pick one because I'm a terrible person and I don't pick things. I just reminisce over all the things that I love in this world. And my favorite kind of movies are like 80s teen movies. The 80s was the best time for teen movies. I have marker on my hand. Great. The 80s was the best time for teen movies. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. All of them. I can't even pick a favorite 80s teen movie. You can give me like a subgenre and I still can't pick. I like them all. I feel stupid if I say Breakfast Club, but I really like Breakfast Club. But they're my favorite. And I have to do like an honorable mention of my favorite movies growing up were Labyrinth, Dirty Dancing, and Grease, which are all 80s movies, and I love them so much. I was the weird kid who, I guess I watched cartoons. I did sometimes, but like cartoons weren't my favorite things. I wasn't like Disney princesses were who I wanted to be when I grew up. I just wanted to be Sandy from Grease. And so, yes, honorable mention, all of my favorite childhood movies were from the 80s, and I still will watch them anytime. I am down to watch Grease, Dirty Dancing, Labyrinth with you any day, anytime. You just ask. The only thing that I will say that I don't love about 80s movies is I don't like Matthew Broderick. Here's another thing that everyone's going to be annoyed about because I don't like the Rolling Stones and I don't like Matthew Broderick. I find his acting and his face and him in general extremely off-putting. So Ferris Bueller's Day Off is not one of my favorites because Matthew Broderick's there and I can't with his existing. He makes me feel nasty. I don't like him. So there's one thing I don't like. Question number 3 is, I'm pretty sure, what's your favorite TV show? Yes, what's your favorite TV show? And I can actually narrow this down for once in my life because Full House, and yes, I know it started in like 87, so it's right at the end, but Full House is my favorite TV show. I love it so much. It's probably one of my favorite TV shows like now. I would watch it all the time if it were on anything for me to watch. Full House is where it's at. It makes me happy. And the only other thing, I watched a lot of things from the 80s, but the only other thing that I like religiously watched from the 80s was I did watch The Cosby Show a lot. And I love The Cosby Show. And I used to love Bill Cosby. But now he's creepy, so that's too bad. Who was your celebrity crush from the decade? And this one I can pick too, because it's Full House. It's John Stamos. I love him. I want him to be my husband. He's my imaginary husband. I love him. He's the best. His face is so nice, and it's not getting worse. He's getting old, and it's not getting worse, and that makes me super happy, because John Stamos should never die. That's what I say. This next question is the one that I'm never going to have an answer for, no matter which one we're doing. It's, which one is your, who would you want to be from the decade? And I'm just not the kind of person who wants to be people. So I have to like force myself to answer this question. And I can't even think of like a live person, like an actual celebrity or anything. I don't think I want to be anybody. So I did say that I would want to be Sarah from The Labyrinth because the Goblin King could steal my brother any day and I would never go home, which is terrible. I just want to run away with the Goblin King. You don't tell David Bowie no. When he says, you join me and be my Goblin Queen, forget your brother, you just say, okay, sorry, brother, but I choose David Bowie over you. Anyway, next thing is, what's your favorite hair trend? And none, I guess, because the hair in the 80s was terrible. But I will say I'm a fan of perms. I like perms. I've had a pretty good amount of perms in my life, and I feel like you can make them look really nice. Because this is my hair, and I hate it. I have no volume to my hair ever. And just the fact that people in the 80s actually had, like, big hair, it's like a novel idea for me. So I am intrigued by having big hair. And I like perminess, I guess. Curls make me happy, probably because I have, like, the world's straightest hair. This took effort. What's your favorite makeup trend? And mine would have to be eyeliner, because they wore a lot of this, like, cat eye eyeliner in the 80s. And obviously I wear that because this is my regular makeup. I didn't dress up for this. I wanted to, but I am void of color and happiness in my life, apparently. This was like the most colorful shirt that I owned, and I put on pink lipstick because I had some in a palette that I don't use the pink in. But that's all I had. So, yeah, this is my normal hair, normal makeup, and I like eyeliner, but not blue eyeshadow. Blue eyeshadow should never happen ever again. It's terrible. Don't let it happen. I'm telling you, future people, don't let that happen. What is your favorite saying from the decade? And I had to look it up because I couldn't think of anything that was like iconically 80s. And I looked it up and come to find out I don't say any of those things. So I'm gonna go with none again. I don't have a favorite saying. I don't use any 80s sayings, but on the list of things that apparently people said a lot back in the 80s was bodacious, and I will never say that, and I would never use that in reference to another human, but I do like the phrase because it reminds me of Pauly Shore, and I like Pauly Shore, even though he's a skis in real life. Just so you know, my friend went on a date with him, but besides the fact that he's creepy, I love Pauly Shore, and I actually really like Pauly Shore movies, and he makes me laugh. So, bodacious is funny to me, the thought of it, but that will never come out of my mouth. That is a gross thing. It's a gross descriptive word for a person. And the very last question is, what is your favorite thing about the decade, which I already mentioned. My favorite thing about the decade are the movies. 80s movies rock my world. They're amazing. I love them all. Besides ones that have Matthew Broderick in them. But that's the only stipulation. So 80s movies were great, and that's all. I mean, I guess things that personally I don't like use in my life, but I appreciate about the 80s is I appreciate everyone just being crazy. Not being crazy, but like their clothes and their style, how everyone just wore like tons of colors and it didn't really necessarily match and everything was bright colors and happy, and it's so not me and so not something I'd be comfortable with, but I appreciate things that are different, that seem like novel to me, I guess. And I also appreciate the fact that everything was so gender neutral, at least from my point of view. The 80s seemed very gender neutral. Like, if you had, I don't know, like, everyone just wore, like, the same colors, just neon colors. Everyone wore the same, like, fabrics and materials, and everyone had, like, the same hairstyle. You either had long hair, and it was permed, and it was big, or you had, like, a mullet, and it didn't matter if you were a girl or a boy, and guys wore makeup, and girls wore makeup, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate a time when gender roles, not roles, but just gender, like, conforming looks seemed to just kind of dissipate for a second. I'm not sure what happened, what people were thinking, but it's kind of cool because I like boy things sometimes. And I can appreciate a guy who wears eyeliner and tight pants. Just saying. So we should be cool with those things. And that is it. I got through this one way quicker than last time, which is good because the last one was long. But anyway, that is it for the 80s. I love the 80s, love the movies. Tell me about what your favorite things from the 80s were, especially what your favorite movie is. I feel in my heart that I've watched all of them. I mean, not all of them, but all of the ones of note. But I would love to hear what your favorites are because if I haven't watched it, I'm going to. I need to know all the 80s movies, unless it has Matthew Broderick. Don't do that. But anyway, yes, tell me your favorite movies. Tell me what your favorite thing about the 80s was, is, if you lived it, if you didn't. And make sure you head over to Jamie's channel and watch her video as well. We will see you next month for the I Love the 70s video. Thanks for watching.